quarantine life. I'm going to change the song.
I think you forgot the song a little bit.
The song is about me dancing in quarantine.
Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a simply neological podcast. I'm Ben.
Hello.
You are Cristine.
That is me.
And today we're just going to talk about a few things that we found interesting this past week. Cristine got invited to sign up for OnlyFans. We watched the fascinating documentary Tiger King on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And Cristine got an email from the professional wrestling organization, the WWE, asking if you wanted to collaborate.
They want me to fight. No,
I
don't think that's what they wanted. But
Is that what they want?
We'll discuss.
So I don't even know where to start there, but maybe on the OnlyFans point, did you know what OnlyFans was, or do you know what OnlyFans is now?
Now I know because of Twitter and Trisha Paytas.
Okay.
But I guess for a while I had no idea, and people would just make memes or jokes like, yeah, you'll find it on my OnlyFans. And I'm like, what is this? No idea.
So just to explain, OnlyFans is a online platform, kind of like Patreon, where fans can pay a monthly fee to have access to creators. Cristine got an email this last week asking if she'd be interested in signing up, and they attached this press briefing, and nowhere in the press briefing does it intimate that or suggest that the majority of people on OnlyFans, or what OnlyFans is mostly known for at least, is it's basically a platform for like softcore pornography, right? Or a way to like see nudes of people online and pay a monthly fee for that.
So that's what like Twitter culture has suggested to me, that is what the majority of OnlyFans is. But I don't know because I've never been on it. Is it an app? Is it like a website? What actually is it?
I think so. Most people, I think, became aware of OnlyFans last fall because there were these really bad fires in Australia during their bushfire season. And there was this viral story about this woman who said, to anyone who donates money in support of efforts to combat the wildfires, I'll send you nudes on OnlyFans.
So it was a humanitarian effort.
So I think that's why OnlyFans is sort of became in the public consciousness. And there were a few like kind of D-level reality stars who started posting sexy pictures of themselves for their fans using this website.
So it's a subscription model.
Yeah, it's like Patreon. It's like any other. Even on YouTube now, you have like the community feature where people, or not the community feature. What's the like join to become a member feature? Pay monthly fees.
But why don't people just use Patreon? Is that because Patreon has banned nudity or certain acts, certain lewd acts? I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
I'm not sure. I don't know their terms of service. I don't have an account on OnlyFans, Cristine.
You don't?
I promise I don't. I mean, would you care if I did?
I mean, I would just like to know where the money's going, where the family money is going. That's all I want to know. Full disclosure.
So we should acknowledge that, yeah, even though it's mostly known for basically like softcore porn or nudes, there's probably people not doing that on OnlyFans.
I've heard that there's some girls who just like post their fitness routines on there, and like it's not nudity, it's just them working out. I have not seen this.
You just give that away for free on Snapchat.
Yeah, I could, charge 50 cents. Maybe someone will pay it.
So should Cristine sign up for OnlyFans? Comment down below.
I said if I sign up for OnlyFans, it would be me peeling off my nails for $2.99 a week.
Because of this,
come to my peel porn show, baby.
We actually maybe we can get into this a little bit. I think I hinted at this in a previous Simply Neological YouTube video, but there was a big.
Are you gonna spill tea? Yes.
There was a company that wanted to sponsor you once and was offering a pretty good amount of money. And they're a business that they are in the business of helping people create custom websites for themselves. Mm-hmm. I won't be any more specific than that. And when they came to you saying, could we have a dedicated video? And they offered a good amount of money. You came back saying, okay, I only want to do it if like I feel good about the creative concept behind it. So you said, or you had me explain it to the guy, which made it even crazier. So I'm on the phone with this executive, or I guess the guy running their PR or brand awareness, trying to convince them that your video would be you setting up a nail porn website. So instead of like Pornhub, it was Nail Hub. And like find lonely nail polish in your area. And I just remember like
1-800-PEEL porn, baby.
His reaction was amazing because there was like this long pause, and then like I could hear like the wheels spinning in his head. Like, is there any way of like massaging this into an idea that the brand would approve? And it was clear that wasn't gonna happen.
I think it's hilarious. It would have been perfect for my audience because I've done nail porn videos before. Like the word porn has been used so many times in ways that are non-sexual that I don't feel like it's a bad word anymore. Like food porn, that's a huge thing.
But you have to
right?
this is a risky
it's like,
concept for a brand.
Yeah, but this is a brand that is sponsoring major YouTubers who are in and of themselves a little edgy, right? It's not like they're all only G-rated YouTubers.
Sure, but they're expecting it to be like iJustine just shows you how to build a website. And meanwhile, the nail polish girl comes back saying, I want to make a porn website.
I was just going to call it Nail Hub, and there'd just be like pictures of me peeling off my nails like a GIF. Just like, little tease, just a little pop.
Don't get me wrong. I love the idea.
Nail polish strip.
But I also, if I'm them, I'm probably not greenlighting that
Anyway,
either.
so that sponsorship did not work out, unfortunately. And, I don't know what it is. Sponsors just don't like my ideas. I thought it was hilarious.
So back to OnlyFans. So it's kind of timely that you got that email because OnlyFans has kind of become a discussion in the YouTube community right now because there's a few notable YouTube creators who are on there, Trisha Paytas being the first one that comes to mind. But also there's been kind of this controversy online there's a pretty popular, well-known, and controversial YouTuber, iDubbbz, Ian, and his girlfriend recently started an OnlyFans account. And this has resulted in a lot of people online and some of Ian's own followers, it seems, attacking him and calling him a simp, which is a word we learned recently.
They're calling him a simply?
No, so
that's amazing.
What is a simp, Cristine?
It's a compliment.
This is a word you learned this week. Do you know what it means?
I don't really. I mean, I read the definition and I just kind of ignored it.
It implies, you could read up, I'll pop the definition from Urban Dictionary or something here, but it implies it's a guy who lets a woman who isn't really bringing anything to the table embarrass or make that guy seem like less of a man. You're assuming it's his girlfriend, sort of like embarrass him on the internet. So the suggestion in this case being that his girlfriend Anissa, by posting nude or sexy pictures on the internet for other people, she is basically embarrassing and making him look like a weak man.
I mean, if he didn't know that she was going to do that and he would have been hurt and she was aware of that, then it would fit that definition perhaps. But I'm just assuming, and I believe he said this, that as grown adults, they were both fully aware that she was going to do that and they agreed it was okay. So
yeah, good point. It would be pretty amazing and terrible as a
if
partner
she just
to
did
just
that without
do it
saying
without
anything. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I just opened my OnlyFans account one day and Christine's pictures are up there.
And I didn't tell you.
Yeah, and we should say, for full disclosure, we don't really know either Ian or Anissa.
We've met iDubbbz at VidCon.
What? Yeah, so we met him at.
I can't
remember. I have no idea why he was at VidCon. Someone had given him a +1 because Ian's not the kind
That's
of.
why I hesitate. I'm like, it was VidCon.
He's not the kind of YouTube creator you expect to see at. VidCon.
I like him. I like his content. I know he's said some very controversial things, and I definitely don't agree with everything he said, and wouldn't necessarily do the same myself. But I do think that he is a good creator from a creative perspective.
Yeah.
A little edgy.
Based on
you have to have that acquired taste.
It is a little edgy, and that kind of cultivates an audience that's maybe more likely to criticize him in the way he's being criticized now, maybe.
A bandwagon audience, maybe.
Or just, a lot of his content's about criticizing other people, so I'm not shocked to see. Let's be real, the people criticizing now are probably a bunch of teenage boys who don't know anything about being in a healthy romantic relationship with another woman. But yeah, just to echo your comments, we don't know them super well, but I got a good impression of Ian. Again, yeah, I don't agree with a lot of the things he's sort of, or I wouldn't endorse some of the things he's done or said online, but I think he seems like a good person to me at the end of the day, and I got a good sense of him when we had that brief conversation. And Anissa as well, not that we really know her. She's a Canadian girl, so that has to count for something. But I had spoken to her a little bit on Twitter, 2-3 years ago, a while back now. They were dating at the time, and I think I was just congratulating her because she had just recently hit a milestone, a certain number of subscribers on YouTube, because she's been someone who's been streaming and putting out content on different platforms for a few years now. And it's not like I've seen a bunch of her stuff, but I saw a little bit, and I should be careful how I put this. There are a lot of female creators on YouTube and other platforms who are really famous for doing very conventionally girly things like baking cakes and I'm a dancer. I am very supportive. Yeah, I'm supportive of the idea of more prominent, successful female creators who are just known for their brains. They're sitting down in front of a camera and arguing. And like remember in the very first episode of this podcast, we talked about who we watch on YouTube, and you noted like I didn't really mention any women. It's because a lot of the content that is more of that sort of like video essay style, I haven't come across a lot of women doing that I like. So I'm very much supportive of the idea of more female creators being successful just because of how they think and argue certain points, and because of their opinions, not because they're good at baking cakes or painting their nails or dressing up.
They exist. Way. They just haven't come up on your recommended feed.
I'm sure they exist. Everything on YouTube exists pretty much. But yeah, and I'm not looking all that hard, to be honest. I'm just kind of seeing what comes across my radar. And I noticed she just kind of came up on my page one day. But that's the extent to which we know them. And yeah, I mean, do you want to give our thoughts on this at all? Like,
I mean, ultimately, these are two consenting adults that decided. She decided, first of all, that, like, obviously it's her body and her decision to do it. But I assume in a healthy relationship, you would ask your partner how they would feel. I'm just assuming that they did this and that he was okay with it. So if it's anyone else's problem, it doesn't really need to be, as long as they both 100% feel confident and fine with it. So I feel like we have to remember as humans that you can feel one way about what other people choose to do with your life and a different way about you. So for example, I can completely accept that other people have decided this is fine for them, and I don't give a shit. Cool. Like that's great. I'm not upset. It doesn't anger me. It doesn't bother me. On the other hand, I mean, maybe you guys just like know me and I'm kind of like a weirdo sock. It's not something I would personally do just because I'm not comfortable with that. I wouldn't even wear a bikini on camera. Like, that's just me, okay? And so I wouldn't even ever ask Ben, is it okay? Or how would you feel if I did this? Because obviously Ben doesn't own me. And if I wanted to do it, maybe I just would. But I think it's still respectful that you consider your partner's feelings.
You calling me a simp? You would just do it without
I'm just
asking
saying
me?
She wouldn't have to ask his permission per se.
No, at the end of the day, you can do what you want with your body, but
exactly,
in a healthy relationship,
you would consider your partner's feelings about something like this, I think, as a reasonable adult. But we wouldn't even get to that point because I wouldn't even want to show myself in a bikini. Yeah. But that's just me. So.
And I'll admit, Ian came out with a video saying he has no problem with it. He's surprised by the reaction and basically thinks like, there's nothing wrong with sex work. I think I agree with that, but I also have to admit, in the back of my head, if I considered how I would feel in his position or how I would feel if you wanted to do that, I do think there is, maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned in a way. I'm totally positive about sex work, and, I would never judge a woman for... there are estimates that she might be making like a significant amount of money. Trisha Paytas it's estimated she's making over $100,000 a month posting nudes. Like, I'm not going to judge anyone for doing that. If you're judging her for doing it, you have to judge the market. Like, she's the supply, but there's a huge demand. And who's the demand? Who's paying for this? And
you
have to judge everyone if you're going to judge more than anything. Yeah. But in our relationship, I feel like I probably would be uncomfortable with it.
And that's okay. Like, you're allowed to feel that way. And I want people to know that. You're allowed to feel like you would feel uncomfortable about that for your own relationship. And that's fine. So you just decide amongst the two of you that it's not something that you're going to do.
Yeah.
But you can still accept that other people have decided differently. Yeah. I think that's kind of where I wish more people would land.
Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, if you're not, how do I put this? Like, if you're comfortable doing it and your partner's comfortable doing it, like, who are other people to judge that? Yeah,
it's their lives.
But if you're doing it in spite of your feelings about it and feeling like you are degrading yourself by doing it, but you're just doing it for a paycheck, that would really suck and kind of be sad, right?
I think Yes, and there is a level of that too that I think people don't talk about enough. So for me as a woman, deep down, even though I want to feel like women can, make the choice to do whatever they want with their bodies, and if there is that demand and you feel comfortable being that supply, then all the power to you. At the same time, I still feel like it's the gender inequality in this particular industry that makes me a bit sad, because it really just falls on women who are the ones who are becoming the objects of consumption to be sold. If it were equal, and by equal I mean there were an equal number of men who are able to sell sex in some form on the internet, or not just on the internet, but everywhere. Yeah. And half of the buyers were women. If it were truly equal, I don't think I would give a shit. But the fact that it's such a gender imbalance, it upsets me a little.
It's a mirror reflecting a problem in our broader culture that women's bodies are commoditized in a way that
more
men's
than
aren't.
men's.
Although I should say briefly, like looking at the press briefing and looking up a little bit of OnlyFans, it seemed like that there were quite a few men on there, but I'm making an assumption here, they seem to be gay men and appealing to a male audience. So it seems like the audience is overwhelmingly male for these things.
The buyers are overwhelmingly male.
Yeah.
And like that's
same thing
something
with sex
about
work,
society
right?
too.
Yeah. Although I do wonder, maybe you don't want to comment on this and get thoughts, but when you hear someone like Trisha Paytas is hugely successful on the platform, I'm not going to make any specific judgment about her or spill any tea here, but I really question if people are really paying her monthly fee because they really are interested in her from a sexual perspective, or if they are really paying just to be
You think it's
front
trolls?
row to a car crash. You know what I mean?
Like trolling, like people buying for trolling.
I think she's a person who's kind of a mess and might be going through some legitimate issues, honestly. And she's one of these creators that we've sort of criticized in the past who would rather be infamous or famous for being awful than not have people know or pay attention to who she is. And I wonder if a lot of people watching, like, are they getting any sexual gratification from watching her? Or is it more about like, oh my God, can you believe, like, it would be if like some minor celebrity is showing you their nudes. It's like this voyeuristic kind of thing, not even really a sexual thing, maybe.
What do you think her answer would be to, would you rather be rich or famous?
Oh, it's got to be famous, right?
Famous, yeah.
But she is also incredibly rich because she's willing to sell all of herself, right?
I accidentally saw something on Twitter.
You saw a little bit
I don't
of
follow her, but someone retweeted something, and then I saw it. And I didn't know the Twitter allowed such things on Twitter, but they do. Okay.
You see her tiger tail?
I'm no comment.
Let's talk about Tiger King. What else did we see this week, Cristine?
So wait, just to conclude here,
Okay.
I will not be getting an OnlyFans account unless I can only have one only fan, and it be you, and I can charge you whatever I want per month.
Oh, you're gonna charge me now?
Well, yeah, you got to pay for this. What do you think? This is free?
Can't give it away for free. That's very sweet of you. Mm-hmm. All right.
You're my only fan. Oh my God, I'm so lame. Okay, unsubscribe.
All right. Tiger King. We got to talk about it, right? I feel like you have no
Tiger
excuse for not having seen this show.
Yeah, because you should be staying at home.
Yeah, I mean,
watching Netflix.
Thank you if you're working in a grocery store, if you're in the healthcare field. Thank you for doing what you're doing and being essential. But yeah, for everyone else, if you're
for all
stuck
the
in the house,
non-essentials out there like us, we are non-essentials in this world. No one needs us.
you have no excuse for having
Yeah.
not seen
Tiger
this
King.
amazing Netflix documentary
Unless
series.
you don't have Netflix. That's an excuse. That's a valid excuse. Okay.
There's got to be some. Have a friend that has, or I guess you can't go over to your friend's house.
No, but they
or
can
your
give you their
friend's
logins.
Netflix account. Yeah,
Log into your friend's
I'll give you my
Netflix.
login credentials.
My dad uses my login for Netflix.
They used to encourage that Netflix, eh? I don't think they really do anymore. But it used to be part of their marketing. Like, yeah, share your password with up to X number of people.
Well, I did.
But yeah, so this series is amazing. I think we should acknowledge up front that it does show animals. There's one episode that does show some animal abuse. That's pretty rough. And I guess more than that. So it's a series about the very eccentric frankly, just insane people in the United States who own private zoos that have tigers, big cat people, as they call them. Mm-hmm. So I guess the whole series is about animal abuse to the extent that it's a bunch of people who own big cats in the United States that probably should not own them, that even if they're not abusing them, they're living in these cages that they should not be living in. It's kind of sad overall from that perspective.
Yeah, but the documentary is really about the people involved, like the personalities. Yeah,
very much
so. There is spoilers after this point, obviously. If you haven't watched Tiger King.
No excuses. The spoilers here.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the show, Cristine? So I guess the main character everyone's talking about is
Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic.
And people seem to have sympathy for him. Mm-hmm. And I understand, like, you're presented with a show with many characters. The natural inclination as a viewer is to pick someone that you like and pick someone that you hate. You kind of just do this with everything in life, right? So I don't feel that way at all. Almost everyone on that show, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
And I wish more people would take that position. There's a lot of reasons why most people on that show, to me, are not someones that I would want to identify with or relate to.
No, certainly not.
They've all made some poor decisions. They've all said some things that I would never say or endorse. And some of it is just like... some of it is absolutely like bordering or definitely illegal behavior. Yeah. But if you just ignore that stuff, even just the day-to-day language they use to like talk about each other and the kinds of rude things that go on, it's awful. Like, it's just cruel, weird behavior.
It's like a subculture we didn't know existed. And yeah, after the first 2 episodes, it seemed to me that there was this... you're right. A lot of shows follow this tropes of like there's going to be good guys and bad guys. I think there's a lot of gray area, and yes, some of the characters are portrayed in a bit of a sympathetic light, but at the end of the day, you're kind of left with the impression like, wow, all these people are shitty. After the first 2 episodes, I thought it was going to be a case of Carole Baskin is the woman running the sanctuary for tigers in Florida, and the other people are the people buying and selling tigers and euthanizing them if they can't make money off them anymore, and just following that formula. But so from my perspective, like, everyone's talking about Joe Exotic. I think Carole Baskin and her story is the more fascinating storyline in that show. Yeah. And I would watch an entire series
on Carole.
About Carole. She is an amazing figure. I guess Joe, you have like, he's this flamboyant gay redneck who likes to shoot things.
Yeah.
Who basically tricked 2 straight guys working at a zoo to marry him. Like, it's like, that story is insane.
It's an insane life.
He's in jail for hiring someone to murder someone, but he might not have been the only one involved.
He might have burned down his own studio to destroy evidence of tapes. Like, oh my God. He might have killed tigers.
He is like a cartoon character of a man.
Yeah.
So I understand why everyone's sort of talking about him. But Carole, to me, in a subtle, like, it's not even subtle, but she is the more fascinating figure in my mind. Here's a woman who got married super young, left her super religious family, was in an abusive relationship, had a kid young. She's walking down the street one night, she's 21, and this 40-year-old drives down the street trying to get her to get in his car. And he says, "I'll give you my gun and you can point it at me, just get in the car." She ends up marrying this guy. Oh,
so
by
romantic.
The way, this guy had a wife and children and millions of dollars, and he decides to leave that all behind to hang out with this girl who's much younger than him. They start buying tigers. And then the huge twist is there's a very good chance that she was involved, or there are strong implications that she was involved in his death or disappearance.
That's what the documentary wants you to think, obviously, but it wasn't an inquest into his death or disappearance. Where's the burden of proof? Like, I know everyone's like, yeah, she killed him, she fed him to the tigers, because like that's what we want to think. That's where the memes are, and we all want to side with Joe Exotic for some reason. And that's what people are doing. So I just, maybe this is my like criminology background, but it's irresponsible just to be like, yeah, she totally murdered him. Like, we don't know this.
I feel like most people finish the series and think she probably killed her husband. And yeah, I think you're right.
The trial by social media is really unfair. Like,
it's not by social media. You're right. There's no real proof.
Yeah.
But the circumstantial evidence,
sure, but that doesn't,
is pretty convincing.
Come on, Ben, you know better than this.
She there's something fishy going on when she's talking about it. I
Sure.
strongly believe that. I think at the very least, she changed his power of attorney. I think that's pretty clear from the documentary to say in the event of his death or disappearance, which is not something you see on a power of attorney, so she could at least control his assets after he's gone. And the footage they have of her talking about him, like, there's speculation that she may have grinded him up in a meat grinder to feed to the tigers. And she's sort of responding to that allegation and like laughing about it. If someone had accused me of grinding you up and feeding you to Menchie and Zyler, I would never talk about that and be giggling about it. That's insane to me.
I mean, people have different reactions to different things. I'm not defending her. I'm not saying she's innocent. But you just don't know.
You're right, and we should be careful because
apparently, though, there was a lot of tips made to that whatever jurisdiction, the cops where she lives, about what happened to her husband. And the cops gave a statement of some kind and said, like, oh, we've been getting so many tips, like, which is great, thank you, but none of them have panned out so far because it's just crazy fans of the show.
Yeah, they're probably
being
just
like,
people.
She totally killed him. I know this person said that. Like, they're just making
They're
shit
probably
up.
like, hey, I just watched Tiger King on Netflix. I think Carole Baskin
but, like,
did it.
that is not helpful to law enforcement. Okay, like if they're gonna actually get to the bottom of it.
But we should be clear here. It's not only did Joe Exotic and her rivals in the private zoo tiger industry think she killed her husband. Her husband's former family lawyer, former executive assistant, all suspected that she was involved or at least not being truthful about what happened. Mm-hmm. Not just some crazy redneck guy who owns tigers in Oklahoma or wherever he was, Ohio or something.
Yeah, and the truth is, I guess we'll just never know.
We'll never know. And we should... It would be really sad if she didn't and actually lost her husband, and that's a terrible thing. And to have the whole world speculating that you killed him.
And maybe he did die in a private
awful.
Airline crash or a little plane crash. Remember? That was part of her speculation anyways, that he used to go in his private plane, which he was not licensed to drive for years, and just like talk about going down to, what was it, Cuba? I can't remember. But he would fly and do that all the time. So that's a possibility.
Yeah, he may have just crashed into the ocean, never to be seen again. But the way his car was left at the airport was not done by someone who was trying to run away and disappear.
Well, maybe he wasn't running away. He was just going for a little flight. I don't know. There's so many possibilities, is what I'm saying. Like,
you're right. We'll never know. But hey, if there's a sequel, I would love for it to just be about Carole and that investigation.
It is interesting. And it really, like, focusing on her also raises the question for the viewer, what is the difference between a cat sanctuary or a tiger sanctuary and keeping cats in cages, as she likes to label what Joe Exotic and his whole team does?
Yeah.
Speaking of a cat,
hey,
what up,
here's
Zyler?
Our Tiger
this
King
is Tiger
right
King, the real Tiger King.
Yeah, so I guess she definitely wants to position herself or highlight the difference between what she does and what those other people do. And I think there is if you take the husband thing out of the equation, then I think there is a clear good guy and bad guy in this story. I don't care that she bankrupted Joe trying to shut down his private zoo because in her mind...
he was saying some crazy shit about her. And that is just unacceptable.
But I've heard some people say, like, oh, she's a bad guy because when she won the lawsuit against Joe, she, like, really went after him. It's because she wanted to shut down his private zoo because she thinks that's tiger abuse. Yes, she owns tigers. And at one time, it seems like she was buying and selling tigers and was in that practice. So I guess it is hypocritical from that perspective. Yeah. But in terms of the advocacy work she seems to be doing now and the sort of lobbying she's doing to Congress to enact laws that prevent people from just owning tigers. Why should you be able to own a tiger, by the way?
Yeah, and hearing all those stories, they mentioned, oh, here's my tiger. They mentioned a few of them, like cases where some guy just let tigers loose and like 30 tigers were just roaming around Iowa, or I don't know if it was Iowa, like some part of Florida. Like, that's really dangerous. Like, what the fuck?
It's insane. And you know what happens? All those tigers had to be shot by law enforcement.
So now what?
So no one wins. And that's honestly, at the end of the day, who is the loser in all of this? It's those tigers. I don't know what the answer is in terms of, like, how do you actually advocate for tigers or what conservation efforts can be taken to tigers. But the fact that there's more tigers in the United States owned by crazy people than there are in the wild in their natural habitat.
That statistic depressed me. Like,
that
why?
Is super depressing.
Why? That doesn't make sense.
Why, Zyler? Why?
Like, if those people actually cared about the endangerment of wild animals and their freedom, they would bring them all back to where they are naturally supposed to be.
What do you mean bring them back?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right.
Joe Exotic's gonna get on a jet.
These are our American tigers, man.
Wow, American tigers.
Yeah, born and raised.
Although, how many people watch a show, and even I felt this to a little degree, and felt like, wow, it would be amazing to hold a baby tiger, right? And isn't that just part of the problem, that there's this huge demand for, if you had the opportunity to go to one of their zoos and play with baby tigers, that would be hard to pass up on that.
It's hard to deny that, they look really cute, but you have to, I guess, step back and remember that these cute little baby cubs become wild cats that need more than just a small little cage and some humans throwing them meat. Like,
yeah, the discount meat from Walmart.
Oh, that was disgusting too. And then he baked the discount expired meat into a pizza and sold it.
At a certain point, they started selling pizza.
Like, just so many little transgressions. Like, I cannot believe that this just all of this existed.
It's amazing these people exist.
He had like a live stream show where he would basically suggest that he was gonna murder Carole and like talk about that bitch and like pull things and pretend it's her head and like shoot bottles and say that's Carole's head. Like, it's insane.
I don't think that did him any favors at trial.
I know, yeah. But even aside from the fact that he actually did allegedly, well, not allegedly, he was convicted, that he did hire someone to kill her. Even if you ignore that for a second, his behavior and the way he would speak about her as a human was awful and unacceptable, I think.
Also, we can't finish talking about this without acknowledging his music, which is just amazing.
Which Ben loves. Ben is a big fan now of Joe Exotic, which...
Well, it's not even him,
apparently,
right?
It's not even... Right, it's not even his voice, which is
he would
funny.
hire these musicians to sing his songs, but his songs are about, like, I saw a tiger and they're beautiful, majestic. But his best one, or his most hilarious one, is he sings a song about Carole murdering her husband.
There was a music video for
Here,
that one.
kitty, kitty. Mama's got some treats for you. Here, kitty, kitty. You won't find this taste in the zoo. Wow. If this was like a scripted fictional movie, it would just be too ridiculous. The fact that it's real people is just... It's amazing.
You know what I was most sad about from the whole series was when Joe Exotic's second husband, the younger one, accidentally shot himself. And like, that is just such a what the fuck? Like, is that real? But they had video, you didn't actually see it, but there was someone in front of him talking to him who witnessed it.
So you see someone's reaction to it.
And like, that is so upsetting because I think they were pretty clear about how he was also using drugs at the time.
There is so much other crazy stuff going on that show that they barely even acknowledge or address the fact that clearly a lot of them are doing
drug use.
There's a lot of drug use going on.
Yeah, and people, it seemed, didn't really care about making sure that each other were doing well in that sense. Like, they suggested that he wasn't doing well mentally. Right? Like, he was all over the place and upset and wanting to leave and had frustrations, and Joe didn't care. That's what other cast members were kind of suggesting. And so it's just so sad that, like, his storyline wasn't really a storyline. It was like, oh, just his third husband, he accidentally shot himself. And then Joe was sad and, like, had to talk about it.
Yeah, and even at the funeral.
It was still about Joe.
The funeral
was still about Joe. And I guess for some reason that part of the series stuck with me.
Yeah, and that makes it harder for me to see Joe in any sort of sympathetic light either. I'm sure there's a lot of darkness
I'm not saying he wasn't upset and heartbroken by that incident, but maybe it's just the editing and the way they laced it together. But
it's true. Editing can do a lot, but it can only do so much. Like, whenever I hear someone's complain about like we edit videos, we know how much of a difference that can make in terms of what people see, right? So yeah, if you have thousands of hours of footage of someone and you only include the bad things about them or only the good things, that can hugely sway things. But if you have thousands of hours of footage of someone, it doesn't matter how much footage you have of someone at a certain point. If you have them doing countless bad things on camera, they can't blame editing anymore, Tana Mojo. So
I'm sorry, what was
Tiger
that?
King was amazing, right? He's our little tiger.
I want to know what got burned down.
Oh,
and the
he
arson.
probably burned it down, right?
But like
there were a lot of tapes in there. The Australian reality TV show producer,
the director knows too much.
Lost all of
he
his.
He talked to Extra
work.
News like last week about it and kind of laid out examples of what might be on the tapes, and one of them was Joe literally killing tigers, like tigers that were not unhealthy or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
not that killing unhealthy ones is right. I just mean he was trying to emphasize the point that he was just like killing them for fun.
So you can leave your Joe Exotic Facebook fan group now. He's probably not someone you should admire or look up to in any way. But no one is in this series, really.
I don't think so. Yeah, no. I mean, I like the show overall just because it was entertaining. It came at a great time in our lives. So God bless us all for God bless America.
You're right.
God bless the South.
This might be like, I wonder if it's got to be one of the most successful Netflix shows ever, just because everyone's home looking for something to distract themselves. And you're right. This was a really good show to just completely forget about what's going on in the world and immerse yourself in this subculture of tiger
Florida.
Like, fuck Florida, man. What's with people in Florida? I know it wasn't just Florida, but like, of course this is going on in Florida.
Well, they all have guns, so that's a huge southern thing too. Like he's just going around with his gun, pointing it at people, shooting trees like it's no big deal.
But what's that meme? Like what? Like Florida man does this. Whenever you see a crazy headline in the newspaper, or just like Google headlines that start with Florida man, it's always followed by something insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should move to Florida when we're older.
My grandma did that.
We'll be snowbirds. All right. So last thing we wanted to touch on today is that Cristine got an email from the WWE.
I get too many emails.
So
we could have a whole series just on like the weird shit I get in my inbox. But this was just this week. So
this could be a new segment. What email did Cristine get this week? That's worth bringing up. So I should say, first of all, that like there's nothing inappropriate or wrong about the email. That was very polite and well written and just a very formal or friendly, hey, would you consider, collaborating with the WWE on anything? So it seems like they're trying to grow their social media presence, or maybe they want to partner with YouTubers. What does WWE
stand for?
So it used to be the WWF. I guess it was the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. I don't even know if that's correct, by the way, but it is professional wrestling. They had to change it to WWE, I think, way back in the 90s because there was like a environmental group, the WWF. Remember, like the logo was the pandas. Yeah, I guess they got an argument about who had the right to that acronym.
Okay.
So WWE changed it, but yeah, professional wrestling. So I mostly wanted to bring this up just because I can't get over the fact that when Cristine saw this email,
I forwarded it to Ben.
She forwards it to me and asks me like what this is, and I say, "Oh, it's wrestling." And she goes, "Like what's that? Like fighting?" Because she sees me watching like UFC or MMA sometimes, right? Yeah. And you don't like when I watch that because Cristine doesn't like violence. I don't like violence. Fighting. So Cristine has never heard of or never seen professional wrestling before.
So is there professional and unprofessional wrestling? Why do you keep saying it like it's some very important point?
I don't even think oh, we got both the cats here. I am not a wrestling fan. I like MMA. Yes, I like UFC. I like UFC. I like real
they're not
fighting.
The same thing? Like I'm so confused. Are they not fighting?
So
they're all fighting to me.
There's a thing called wrestling where you have grown adults dressed up ridiculously pretending to fight.
Okay, see, this is what I didn't understand. And then Ben made me watch some WWE
So I threw some on to show her like what this is.
To try and prove to me that it was like not real.
How have you never seen this before?
I don't watch this shit. Like,
how do you go through life like never being aware that there's such a thing?
Maybe, okay, let me just start off and explain why I don't watch fighting of any kind. Wrestling or whatever the hell you want to call it. UFC, I don't know. It's not that I understand it is a sport and I understand that there is some skill in some of it.
We're talking fighting or fake fighting?
I don't know. One of the
You don't even see the difference.
I understand it, but I just can't get into it when I see people fight, especially the ones that Ben watches where they like punch each other in the face, they start bleeding and they keep going and going and their ears are just all broken up like cauliflowers and then they get skull fractures. Ear. Yeah. It upsets me, and I don't want to see it. I don't get joy out of watching people hurt each other.
Yeah, no, that's a very reasonable position. So maybe you would like wrestling because
But they're basically hurting each other or making it look like they're
it's
hurting
all
each other.
orchestrated. I guess they do put their bodies through a lot because when you're pretending, I mean, they're not pretending to jump and fall down on the floor and stuff. Like they are actually falling.
But why
and
would I
hitting
get joy
themselves.
out of people pretending to hurt each other?
I've
Like that
no
makes
idea.
no difference to me.
I do not understand the appeal of.
So you'd
fake
rather people
wrestling at
actually
all.
get hurt?
Yeah, to me, fighting is like the purest form of sport.
Of violence. So
Of
you want the
competitive
real
contact
violence.
sport, it's like two men or women just, imposing their will and physicality and technique
and
upon
hurting
each other. Yeah, I mean, you have a ref in there, so like hopefully you don't want to see them get too hurt.
But you do, or the crowd does want to see them get hurt.
Yeah.
Right? That's what makes me so upset. And same with hockey. Like when they start hitting each other and they like want to see people beat each other up and they're like, yeah, go get him. And they're like ripping off each other's helmets. It's so upsetting. But here's the thing. I know this is an unpopular opinion. And I know a lot of people watching this are going to be like, oh, come on. Like, this is how we do it. Or that's just the game. Or they consented to this. I understand all that. And I understand that people like it. But whenever we go to hockey games and I see this around me that like people are getting excited when players are getting hurt, I'm just so baffled, and I'm just watching these people's behavior at them getting excited over the prospect of people hurting each other.
People are getting hurt.
But they are. And aren't you?
Right.
When people are beating each other up on TV, you get excited and you jump off the couch and you go, yeah, get him.
I think it speaks to some like primordial thing like deep within us.
I don't have that. Why don't I have that? I don't want to kill anyone.
Just in defense of myself, I'm not a guy who is... I don't have a lot of interests that are typically like very macho guy things, but like fighting and watching hockey are like some of the few very stereotypical manly things I do enjoy. I don't want to see people get hurt, especially in hockey, right? Like I appreciate skill way more than enforcers. And fighting is sort of getting out of hockey.
But
anyway.
watching UFC, the point is that people will get hurt. You only win if you hurt the other person, correct?
But my favorite thing about fighting is when you see a very skilled person use his skill to nullify someone else's ability to hurt him. Or like if a jiu-jitsu guy, like the earliest fight I remember being hugely excited about was Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen, where Chael Sonnen's beating Anderson Silva for 5 rounds, and then like with only 2 minutes left in the fight, Anderson Silva wraps his leg around his neck and gets him in a triangle submission. And after getting beaten for 5 rounds, he wins the fight that way. Like, yeah, I get enjoyment.
So if there's skill and you don't have to punch someone repeatedly in the face and make them bleed, I can appreciate that. Truly, I do understand that. What I don't understand is just the raw punching in the nose, just bleeding, and like that's what I don't understand. Yeah, that's not skill.
I guess we live in such a sanitized society where like
let's just destroy his face. Why are you destroying his face?
I'm not getting into fights. I don't do much physical stuff, or I don't have to do much physical stuff in my life other than like going to a gym and working out in a very regimented way. I feel like it does sort of, speak to something deep within us that like so much of human history is about violence. So it's just like a sort of a very controlled way of vicariously watching other people do that.
But it doesn't make you want to hurt others. So you're saying you get it out of your system by watching other people hurt other people.
Maybe if these guys weren't watching fights, they'd be out at bar fights right now. Here, I will say...
So they're sublimating. So it's like a serial killer who, instead of cutting up bodies, he becomes a surgeon.
Wow. I don't know about that. I will say that I have only been to one UFC fight live. And being in the crowd and seeing the other people around me and the sort of
excitement,
the enjoyment they were getting from, I remember there was like these 2 guys who weren't very skilled fighters, but they were just like punching each other in the head over and over again. And I wasn't really enjoying it all that much, but everyone around was like really getting worked up at how like amazing it was. And there was like this almost like bloodlust sort of feeling. It made me super uncomfortable. So I feel like I would rather just be on my couch. So once you're closer to the
violence, you got more uncomfortable.
It made me realize that I think a lot of people enjoy it on this sort of like, are maybe just enjoying seeing other people hurting each other rather than appreciating that one guy's a jiu-jitsu master and the other guy's a technical striker, and seeing how those 2 skills conflict with each other.
Yeah, it is hard to kind of lose the true skill of it and just get absorbed in the easy violence. That's easier to digest.
This went on a weird tangent.
For a simp. I'm using that word wrong.
I mostly brought this up just because I was shocked that you had never heard of or like, do you know who Hulk Hogan is?
Yeah, but
he's a wrestler.
I mean, like, I know who that is, and I had his toy for some reason when I was a kid, like a Hulk Hogan toy.
You used to play with Hulk Hogan toys?
It was like the stretchy one. Or is that Stretch Armstrong?
I think that's Stretch Armstrong.
I don't know.
Did
I
they
was
make
a kid.
a Hulk, stretchy Hulk Hogan toy?
Maybe I'm wrong. But I've never really gotten into it, so I had no idea that WWE was about fake fighting. I had no idea.
I mean, don't tell fans. They like pretending it's still real. I think.
So, wait, do people
it's
know
still
it's fake?
Real to me? Damn it.
Do people know it's fake? Is that well understood?
Yeah, but those guys will like.
Wait, I have a
never
question.
Really
See, this
character.
is so interesting to me from like a sociology perspective.
Is it?
Is it mostly women fighters?
No,
for
it's
the
mostly
fake
men.
one.
Women kind of became a thing, I think, later on. I actually don't know much about this. I maybe had a friend who was kind of into it for a while, and the women are expected to wear, or you see the women wearing like these skimpy outfits.
Yeah, that's
for a
what I'm
male
thinking.
audience.
So they're fake fighting in bikinis, and who is the audience?
It's a step up from like mud wrestling, essentially. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you don't think like I should at least reply to that email?
Wait, so is it that they want it? No, okay, wait.
Maybe they want you to wrestle Ronda Rousey.
Did not actually ask me to wrestle. Let's just be clear. The email did not ask SimplyPodLogical to get in the ring. I think they were talking about my cats, actually. Like, they said they liked our cats.
It was a very nice email.
It was a nice email. And I feel really bad because it sounded like whoever their social media person is just truly like a fan of my channel and she just likes me. So I feel bad because I know nothing about this industry and I'm not trying to insult it or the women who participate in it. I just like, I'm so alien to this.
And I should say my very brief summary of like the women just being expected to wear skimpy clothes is based off of me like seeing 5 minutes of women wrestling like 10 years ago. Maybe the landscape has completely changed. I know in UFC and actual fighting, there are a lot of really talented, amazing female fighters now, and that was not the case a long time. The talent level wasn't really there. So maybe there has been a bit of an evolution, and those women aren't just objects of sexualized objects for men to watch. Maybe there's actually some skill in that sort of sport of it for women as well. If you had to wrestle any other female YouTuber, who would it be?
Didn't you ask me this before and you were like, Tana Mongeau, Mongoose.
On DeFranco's podcast, we joked that you could have been on the KSI Logan Paul undercard.
Yeah, no. I would have sat there in the corner and refused to play.
Who do you think you could beat?
No one. Because I don't want to hurt anyone.
You've been working out a lot.
Yeah, not to beat someone up. Only an intruder if that were to ever happen. But I would never voluntarily... Intruder. I'll protect you, Ben. I got it. This. I would never... I have no interest in beating someone up. Can I tell you a story? Story time.
Oh. Yeah, sure.
The one time I've gotten in a physical fight in my entire life, and it wasn't even a fight.
Yeah.
That's a stretch. In high school, a girl slapped me across the face. And you know what my reaction was?
You just walked away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just walked away.
You've told me this.
And there was like 50 people behind her egging me to slap her back.
And they just want to see a fight, right?
Yeah. And it's like she was inciting it just because other people encouraged her. Like there was literally no reason for her to come slap me. I mean, there was a stupid reason. It's dumb.
Some high school reason, right?
Yeah. Like I made out with some guy that she used to date a year ago. Like it was the dumbest thing ever. It didn't matter. Ben, this is before your time. Okay?
No, I know. I'm shaking my head just at like how stupid a thing that is.
And so her friends basically encouraged her to corner me. They like planned it out because they'd know I'd gone to Subway with a couple friends and I'd be walking back. So we'd be off school property.
Oh, yeah.
And they planned it and they cornered me. And, like, I'm not some, like, why would you beat me up? What the fuck am I going to do? Like, I'm just, like, some little girl. Like, I have no interest in fighting. It was really awful but what was more awful than someone literally slapping me in the face was how many people behind her were just yelling at me to slap back. But my natural reaction in that situation was to, I froze. And then I turned away and I walked the other direction. And I just started crying. But, like, I didn't say anything, and I just kept going. And everyone behind me was yelling, get her, get her. Like, and then the girl behind me, like, I could tell she was coming towards me to, like, I don't know, stop me. But then, I don't know, she just maybe changed her mind and didn't continue. But she slapped me really hard, and they all wanted us to fight. And I don't understand. And it was just, like, heartbreaking that situation even happened.
I mean, it's hard. I'm really sorry that you went through that first.
It's okay. I didn't fight back, so I didn't actually get in a fight.
I think it's very mature of you that you didn't engage.
In hindsight, I am proud of the decision I made. Although in my mind, like, it wasn't a decision. It was just like, that's just what I automatically did, was walked away.
Yeah. As long as I hope you would defend yourself if someone was actually.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, this wasn't a real fight. She was
Maybe you should take like a course, like a self-defense course. Do women still take those? I know it's kind of like messed up that it's like almost like putting the responsibility on women that they should be able to defend themselves from being attacked.
Those
by
posters
men,
used to be in the women's washroom at university about how women can, if they want to, sign up for a self-defense class. Yeah. I appreciate that being an option and a way of spreading awareness that there are ways to protect yourself, because there was an issue walking around on campus at night. There were a few cases. I was nervous walking around at night. I'm not going to lie. I used to always call someone because class would end at like 9 p.m.
Or even like pretend you're on the phone with someone.
Yeah.
Like I remember the tunnels at Carleton, like I'd be there late at night to drop a essay off in a Dropbox. And yeah, sometimes it would be in the middle of the night, no one else around. And like I'd be walking down there and I could see there's a girl in front of me. And it seemed like she would get nervous just because, hey, there's some guy I don't know behind me. Yeah.
So if you ever have to fight in your life, that's why I don't understand why you would fight like for fun or voluntarily and hurt people when there is a reality of people who have to fight for their actual lives. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes me sad.
This took a much more serious turn than I was expecting.
Sorry.
I can't really say I've ever been.
Yeah, Ben. Have you beat anyone up?
Have I told you? I don't know if I've told you this. A friend of ours in grad school, I was in Montreal for his bachelor party. We were just having a good night. Like, we hadn't even been drinking that much or anything. We're like downtown Montreal, just walking down the street, and this group of guys just started fighting us. Like in the middle of downtown Montreal. Just because
they wanted to assert their masculine dominance?
It was St. Patrick's Day. I guess they were super drunk, but like completely unprovoked. We just got attacked by these guys. So the closest thing I've been to a fight was like just sort of defending myself and kind of fighting back so we could get away from these guys. I don't know, they were speaking French.
Oh, so like you guys were not
much was said. I don't know if like maybe they had run into us at a previous bar and like followed us out or so. I can't even remember much about it. And I remember like, I'm not really a fight. Like I'd like to think I could stand up for myself if I had to, but like a lot of people think they can fight, and a lot of guys are just like, yeah, I'm tough. Like I could fight if I had to. But then at the end of the day, if you haven't been like training boxing or different martial arts, like you probably don't really know what you're doing in a fight. So I remember it was a lot of just like trying to keep distance and like push people away and just avoid getting punched in the face more than anything. But yeah, I guess that's the closest I've come to being in a fight.
That's good. So it's good that you were never someone who was looking for a fight, because I knew lots of men when I was young who were always looking for fights. And I always thought it was really pathetic, to be honest. And it was as if they thought it was, to show they're so powerful or strong, and almost like they wanted people to know that they were going to beat someone up or that they just hurt someone. Yeah, punch him to the ground. Yeah. And I would look at them and be like, you're fucking disgusting. Like, I now think you're a loser. Congratulations.
So I shouldn't fight anyone to try to impress you?
No one should. And if that impresses someone... hope you guys are happy together. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's a sign of high intelligence. It's not what I look for in a partner anyways.
Well, on that note, our apologies to iDubbbz. We were going to have him on today to talk about the situation, but we ran out of time. We couldn't get him on
Also,
Skype.
Social distancing. We couldn't get him here to Canada.
But he did want me to promote his girlfriend's OnlyFans. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, Anissa Joma on OnlyFans, I think she seems like a nice girl.
Ben, are you subscribed?
I'm not on OnlyFans myself, but if I was...
Would you tell me?
If I was, I would tell you. We could look at it together.
All right. I hope everyone is doing okay during these times of social distancing. Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know we're keeping it together. We're slowly, getting on each other's nerves, but
no,
just a little.
Feel better. Last week was a little rough. I'm feeling good this week.
We've been going for walks together just to try and
just staying at least 6 feet away from
others,
everyone else,
but not from each other. We're basically together all the time.
People are mostly respecting those boundaries. Like we're walking down a path and like people will just like skirt to the side, right? Most people are.
Amazing.
And if people aren't, they're like the deviants and people are giving them dirty looks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We've been keeping pretty busy though. I'm really tired. We're filming this at it's almost like 10 p.m. at night because we've had such a busy day today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went for a 13,000 step walk.
You're counting the steps?
Yeah, my watch did.
Okay.
We posted a video today. I have a video ready for Holo Taco tomorrow.
There's been a lot of Holo Taco stuff going on.
And I did a workout this morning. Just, preparing for that self-defense.
Yeah. You could stick up for yourself. You should put those workouts on OnlyFans though, I think.
And then what? Donate the money to you?
To me, no. Who should we donate money to? Hey, if you guys have suggestions for how we could help people going through a hard time right now in Ottawa and Canada or elsewhere, I think we'd be interested in. We're trying to think of ways where, we've been fortunate. We're sort of wondering what is the way of sort of helping out in this situation. Because, a lot of people are going through a hard time right now.
Yeah, it's really tough. And I hope everyone out there, I don't know if you hear Zyler, he just meowed a big exasperated, it's social distancing era, quarantine life.
He wants to be fed, I think. So
yeah, it's dinner time. Is it dinner time, buddy?
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next Taco Tuesday.
Thanks, guys.
See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.